Hi everyone, welcome to the next part of the Maria Trolle color along, where we are coloring the beautiful page with the bunny on it and all of the flowers. In this video we're going to finish coloring up the lavender and green flowers that I colored in the previous video. If you've not yet seen that video, I'll make sure that's linked in the upper right hand corner. If you'd like to, you can go back and watch that one and then come back to this video when you're done. The first video is a full tutorial, and this one is going to consist of some music with a little bit of commentary. In this video, I will be sharing with you exactly what I'm doing as I go through and color the flowers, but the previous video is a step-by-step, much more in-depth tutorial. If you check the description box down below, I will have everything down there that you see me use in this video, as well as links to my Facebook group, my Etsy shop, my email list, and my Patreon if you'd like to support me there. I also now have channel membership. If you would like to find more information out about that, you can just click the join button down below the video. So here I'm starting out with my 10% cool gray, and I'm just coloring in all the petals of the flowers just to create a bit of a base layer. I did get a little bit of the color outside of the petals, so I brought in my mono eraser and just pulled some of that up. Now I'm using the mulberry just to create a line on each one of the petals. Then I'm going to come back and spread that line out with the lavender. Now you see me coming in with the Posca pen. This is the smallest of the Posca pens that I have, and I'm using it just to get rid of the dark line art to make these flowers look a lot more white. So this flower that we're coloring today is an Astrantia major. If you saw my previous video to this one, where I did the full step-by-step tutorial, you'll know that I was using a Google image to try to make these flowers look a lot like what you would see in real life. These particular flowers do have a little bit of green on the tips of the petals. So what I'm trying to do here is only add the green where I don't have a green leaf behind it. This will allow each one of my petals to still stand out and not be hidden because there's a green leaf right behind it. So after the first layer of Posca dried, I did come back and add another layer of Posca because I really wanted to get rid of the dark line art. Starting on the inside of the flowers, and I'm using the mulberry to go along the outer edge and then through the center. Then I add a little bit of lilac and some lavender. Now I have my sap green light, and I'm blending this right into some of those other colors just to add a pop of green. I'm using the grass green around the edges of the inside of the flower just to add a little bit of depth and dimension. Now I'm adding another layer of mulberry. And lavender. And then I'm finishing off with another layer of lilac. Just as I did before, I'm adding a little bit of color with the mulberry. Now I'm going to blend it out with the lavender. And then I'm going to add a pop of green with the sap green light on each one of these petals. Now for this flower that's not fully bloomed, I'm doing it a little bit differently. I want it to look a lot more white, but I also want it to still have a very light pop of each one of the colors. Now I'm using my white Prismacolor to blend all of the colors I've used into the white Posca. This will allow all of the colors to come together really nicely and get a really good blend. Here on this other flower that is not fully bloomed yet, I'm adding a little bit of mulberry and sap green light to the inside of the flower. Now I'm finishing off the petals with a little bit of lavender. Now it's time to color the inside of this flower. I am starting out with the mulberry and blending a lot of that on the outer edge, then blending a little bit of lilac into that, and then finishing it off with some lavender. I decided for the green, instead of using the sap green light this time, I wanted the green to pop a little bit more on this flower, so I did end up using the spring green. Now I'm using the mulberry on the outer edge just to add quite a bit more depth. And I love that pop of green in there. It just looks so pretty. I've really been trying to focus on making each one of the insides of the flowers look quite a bit different from one another. I'm just repeating all of the same steps with all of these petals, starting with just one line of the mulberry, blending it in with the lavender, then adding a pop of green on each one of the petals, making sure that I don't lay the green on the petals of the flower that are laying right in front of a green leaf. Then I'm just blending it all out with my white Prismacolor. Here I'm just adding a bit more white with my Posca pen to really whiten up this flower. Now I have this last flower down here to finish up, so just as I did with the other ones, I'm adding a base layer of my 10% cool gray, then I'm adding a little line with the mulberry. Then I'm going to spread out that line with the lavender, and then instead of using the sap green light, I'm using my spring green to add the pop of green to each one of these petals. Then I'm coming back with the Posca and getting rid of all of the dark line art. Now it's time to add some color to the inside of the flower, and I'm starting out with mulberry, then I'm adding a pop of green with that spring green, and then I'm blending the lavender right in between the two and a little bit around the outside. Then I'm going to add a second layer of the mulberry. And a second layer of the spring green. Now I'm going to finish up all of the petals by adding a little bit of mulberry just to darken up the color and blend it into some of that white. Then I'm going to use the spring green to add that pop of green. Then I'm blending all the colors together with my white Prismacolor. Now we're going to start with the leaves, and I pulled out my deco yellow because I really wanted to make these leaves pop. Now I'm adding a little bit of sap green light into that deco yellow, and then I'm using the grass green to create a bit of added depth and dimension. You will notice that I'm using the same colors for the leaves that I used in the flowers. That always helps on your coloring pages to create a little bit of balance. I just added the one additional color of the deco yellow so that they have that really intense highlight and a little bit of a pop. Now I'm just adding a couple more layers of all of these colors. I do want to make sure I get quite a bit of that deco yellow in there so that we can really see it, and quite a bit of that grass green so that I can create the extra depth and dimension that I always love to see on my coloring pages. Here I'm using a little bit of spring green just to blend all of those colors together, adding another layer and really trying to make them stand out. I'm starting out here with some grass green on these leaves, and then I'm going to move into the stems and add a little bit of grass green at the top and towards the bottom of each one of the stems. Then I'm going to add that pop of yellow with the deco yellow. Now I'm adding a touch of sap green light just to bring all the colors together. If you saw the original tutorial for these flowers, you probably remember that I decided at the last minute that I wanted to use the Deco Yellow, so it was a little bit more difficult to layer that color over the other colors, but I really think the addition of the Deco Yellow made such a huge difference. So we're all done with these flowers and we just have these to move on to next, and the page will be pretty much completed. We do still have the little butterfly up here and this little ladybug here. I'll probably add that in on the next video or when I come back and do the second flower and the leaf in the shortened tutorial. But again, this was a shortened voiceover tutorial. If you would like to see the full tutorial, I will have that one linked in the upper right hand corner, and I will see you in the next video where we color the next two flowers. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next one. Happy coloring. Bye.